Welcome, Tina. Thank you for joining us. Um, Please tell us a little bit about Aerospacelab and your role there. And when did you join Aerospacelab?
Deborah, thank you for having me. I joined Aerospacelab the first week of August 2023. So coming up to, oh gosh, I can't do my math. Is it 9 months, 10 months into the role? And I wear two hats at the company. I'm here to I'm the CEO of the subsidiary we've established in the US. And at the group level, I'm the chief strategy and revenue officer. So essentially, I own the number and have all the customer facing focused functions reporting into me at the group level.
Great. Okay. Um, you've had an interesting career trajectory, advising startups, mid-sized companies, large global corporations. What prompts you to change jobs and what drew you to Aerospacelab?
Um, a great career from startups to very large corporations, which is how I started my career at the Boeing company. And what really drives me is solving problems, taking products and services to market. I'm an engineer by education, I like to say. Practice it for a short while, but I like to look at things in how to take how to solve big problems. And it really doesn't matter if it's a small company or a big company, as long as I can get my arms around the overall problem, get to build the strategy, surround myself with a great team. That just makes execution much, much easier. And that's kind of how I've shaped the growth of the last, 25 plus years in the aerospace SATCOM sector.
Got it. And so what drew you to this company specifically?
Aerospacelab is an exciting young company. We just turned 6 years old. I met CEO and founder Benoit Depper when I was working at Mynaric. I was trying to sell him optical communication terminals because he's got a really big vision. He's wants to build a diverse set of satellites and whether it's Earth observation or communication. What attracted me to the company is him for a start, two, the mindsets, the energy. We just clicked. We saw the future in a similar light. I don't necessarily have a very focused EO background, and that's what he was coming from. I have more of a communications, telecom services sort of background, so we complement each other there. He's fundamentally a technologist and a visionary, and I can add the go-to-market piece to it. So we make a great partnership. Aerospacelab has accomplished more in 6 years than many companies who started ahead of them. We have 8 satellites up there, a diverse set of payloads that were developed in-house, Earth observation payloads, comm payloads. And there's a tremendous amount of pride in this young company on creating those products and services vertically integrated at the subsystem levels to move up the value chain. So all of that was incredibly attractive for me to be able to influence, and that's key. Strategically influence, help shape the growth of where we should go next, and having a founder and CEO that's willing to listen is actually can be challenging, but in this scenario, we just clicked.
Great. What are the challenges you see and also the opportunities for satellite manufacturing right now?
So there's always been this sort of 7-year curve, I like to say in aerospace, whether it's aviation, satellite, where there's ups and downs. On the manufacturing front, there's on the government side in the US and other places, we're facing a global threat. So time to market has become even more, relevant. So gone are the days of booking an order and saying, I'll deliver something in 24 plus months. You have to do it faster. You have to make schedule. So it's not about the tech, it's making schedule, doing a minimum viable product, getting it out there. The challenges that most manufacturers face and we face is how much of that do you do in-house? So the make-buy decisions and the thought process that goes into the make-buy decisions. It's not always about cost. It's really about if a customer comes to you with specific mission objectives that you need to deploy and put infrastructure into orbit for them, but you're trying to make them squeeze into a standard platform. Well, you could start with an architecture that's very standard, but if you have the control with vertical integration of your subsystems, you are able to provide that customization because every end customer has a unique value proposition for service that they want to provide. So the challenge is balancing your bottom line with the diversity of customers that you have. Betting on, do you bet on a low Earth orbit satellite platform? Is micro geo going to take off? People are starting to talk about MEO. So there's that whole platform diversity. Funding is another issue that some folks face. We're fortunate to be well funded and revenue generating. So we're able to look strategically at the market to see where we can serve the satellite infrastructure specifically through the vertical integration and achieve schedule at the right price point. Because the technology, you can always reuse a lot of COTS components from the car industry and up qualify. This is a strategy that we implement in orbits that will permit that. The other unique aspect about Aerospacelab is we do a lot of in-orbit demonstration of our own technology. So it's not a big risk for a customer to come to us. Everybody wants heritage, but we pride ourselves on, look, we've demonstrated this through in-orbit demonstration that can be self-funded by us or in part funded by the company.
And did you also address opportunities that you see in this sector? Is it growing
Yes.
rapidly?
Yes, I shouldn't forget the opportunities. They're tremendous. I'm here at the company because we see opportunity for growth in some specific markets. The US market is open for new players to enter into the North American space to deliver product at a efficiency and at a price point that will challenge certain incumbents in countries. So that is one of my big goals, is to establish ourselves in the US at all levels, whether it's selling, our avionics subsystems, platforms only, or make available our expertise of payload marrying to the platform and providing turnkey services. The US government market, with the SDA pushing forward, and I've had the pleasure of working along that program for over 3 years in my previous role. They've done a tremendous job of opening up this market for non-traditional players to enter. And so that is going to continue on a 2 to 3 year cadence. So that's very open. Finally, the big LEO constellations are getting funded, and I've lived through 20 plus years of introduction of LEO constellations in the second rounds. So I'm really excited to see things are moving forward on whether it's Telesat or OneWeb Gen 2 or Rivada Networks. This will start to spawn an industry at the platform level, at the subsystem level, at the networking level. So the opportunities are there. The opportunities in Europe are coming together nicely with the secure constellations that are being planned. And then direct to cell, the application of direct to cell is really moving forward. You've seen the announcements with Starlink's partnership and where they're headed, AST. You've seen what many of these players are doing, EchoStar's plans. So all of these have created an opportunity landscape. And I think people are now open to not just going to your usual suspects and the big primes, but work with non-traditional players. And they might pair you up with a prime for a payload, or just, having that credibility or a particular type of factory space. But I love that, globally, there is this opportunity landscape opening up, Japan, Korea, and the Middle East. So we have a very laser focus on the markets we want to enter. And in each market, we're also very focused on what we can enter with. There could be some markets where we're just a supplier of avionic subsystems. It could be a market where the customer has a service they'd like to, but they have no idea how to bring it all together. And we're really excited. We've penetrated the US with 2 commercial customers at the moment. We have Albedo, and who we're providing avionic subsystems to. We've just signed a contract with Zona on a great new applications for PNT. And slowly, very shortly, we'll be looking at announcing our physical factory space, which we have, in our plans and budgeted to bring online, ambitiously in 12 months or less, depending on the spot we find.
Wow. That does sound ambitious. In all my conversations, I ask about artificial intelligence and machine learning simply because it seems like you can't look anywhere without seeing it. Is it factoring into your work at all?
I do believe that, at a conversation level, when we're looking at system architectures or the next generation networking within the satellites, but even in specifically around satellite operations and how AI can help with tasking or with the actual network operations. I won't say I'm involved on a day-to-day basis, but strategically, it is an area that we put forward to our advanced teams to start looking where we can be more efficient in that regard. I haven't used AI to write proposals yet. I think that would be slightly dangerous, but that's part of the whole sales process. Where can I use AI? That would be quite intriguing. But at the hardware level, at the networking level, at the tasking of our satellites and operations, I know the teams are looking at that and incorporating that where appropriate.
Great. I saw you at the Small Sat Symposium in Mountain View in February, and it was on a panel discussing how customers make the build or buy decisions for their satellites. Have you seen those discussions change in recent years?
I have, and I don't know if it's become more on the make side versus the buy. I'm still trying to kind of map that timeline out. I recall having spoken with a few satellite operators in the 2007, 2008 timeframe when they were just coming out and they wanted to deliver this, amazing service, but they weren't being taken seriously by, the traditional satellite builders. Everyone was sort of like show me the money, are you funded? Will I get paid? And so they had to resort to building their own satellites, Planet with Dove, I don't know if you've ever seen that production line.
Yes.
Quite a few people ventured into that area. And that may have, I don't know this for certain, that may have reduced time to market for them. They could have, if you're focused on delivering an end service, the service business is a higher margin business, I know this, but it is also intensive when it comes to operations. So now you're going to distract yourself and trying to do hardware when you really should be hiring consultants to work to deliver your services. And when I say consultants, I mean like business analysts that work with your end customer to understand requirements for the service. Off late, I'm still seeing quite a few young companies who are struggling to raise the capital through the VC communities that are still embarking on building their own infrastructure to deliver this service. And I really don't think they need to. There has to be something unique. Now, if they're bringing the payload to the table, I can appreciate that. There's IP there. There's something unique about what they've developed at the technology level, but they understand the end service. But when you have players like us and others who are able to give you the platform on which your payload resides and get you to market faster, why would you distract yourself in doing these, satellites yourselves, especially when you're looking at things beyond the CubeSats? Now, in the CubeSat world, it could be manageable, right? When you're looking at a smaller satellite, it's kind of fun. It's how Aerospacelab started. It started with a 12U CubeSat. Soon realized we can make this avionics and we can scale it up, and we can create more value from a larger satellite. On the Earth observation side, it's all about resolution. Can I carry a bigger payload? Can I take wider swaths of cover? Can I cover wider swaths with my coverage? So I'm a little bit still perplexed as to why people do this vertical integration if their role is an operator. I can see vertical integration benefiting a prime or people like us at the platform level, where we see value in integrating our subsystems or developing our own subsystem. But if you're an operator, focus on your end service. And that way you'll be proving out that a market exists, whether it's insurance or whether it's, utilities or whether it's energy or providing IoT services or detecting weather anomalies. Those are things that are much needed services. But if you're going to hire a team to build your satellites, work on a supply chain to get you the product, you've already been through your Series A and B by that time. So, just remain focused so we can deliver the valuable services enabled through satellite infrastructure.
I noticed on LinkedIn you said recently, supply chain diversity at the satellite platform level and key subsystems is crucial. What did you mean by that?
I'm glad you picked up on it. I had quite a few pings on that one. What were you trying to say there? Very, very openly, I was focused, I think I was commenting on a US government focus on having resiliency and time to market, etc. I was really talking about, I'm a huge fan of the SDA and what they've managed to accomplish and will continue to accomplish. Their vision of diversity across, tranches in terms of capability, diversity across traditional and non-traditional players, has been great to watch and be part of, from tranche 0 right the way through tranche 2. But if you peel the onion back, you see that when you have the prime diversity, and we've got 2 new players, Rocket Lab and Sierra Space, that have entered that prime sort of a role. You dig deeper at the platform level, where's the diversity? If each prime is going to focus on just one platform provider. And then at the platform level, when you're trying to integrate a bunch of different subsystems, look at the issue with propulsion that is being talked about at the moment. So what happens to diversity in this scenario? So this is kind of what I was trying to say in a nice way, is that you really need to scrutinize the diversity at the architecture level when we're deploying systems. The same thing with a commercial large constellation. Do you want your eggs in all one basket, at the platform level, or at a key communication infrastructure that you need for security or propulsion? It could be, we're always going to face supply chain issues globally, right? But now if your eggs are all in one basket, and then several of you have chosen the same supplier, then you're going to knock back programs 6, 9 months, maybe even more. And that's going to impact our security in the future. So that's been my concern. And it's really another way to say, give people like us, the Aerospacelab, and others a chance. We've proven heritage, we've got working product. So the market has to be conducive to giving us an opportunity for bidding. So I think that's, I'm hoping as we move forward over the next couple of years, it's not a free pass. You're going to have to work through that proposal and the diligence, the technical scrutiny, but getting that chance is important. And I get the flip side of it, which is more volume sales for the same type of product means a better price for your end customer. I get that. But we have to balance that out with the diversity, so we're not left hanging with one supplier that may struggle.
Yes, we've certainly seen that with SDA. Recruiting and retaining talent also comes up in all my conversations. How has that been going for Aerospacelab? You're building this US organization, right?
I'm fortunate to attract good people who I've met during my career, and I tend to surround myself with people who are much smarter. They make you look good, and they have expertise and share my passion. This is important for me. I don't write job descriptions for the key hires that I want to do. I present a problem statement. I need to do this. I need to sign a lease on a factory and put up an AIT facility in 12 months. Tell me how you can do that. This is my recent hire. I met Michael Forte in a previous role at Mynaric, and he was my customer. And he was there to evaluate and audit our facility there. So he knows a thing or two about standing up facilities for specific programs, and he was available. And so I thought, okay, I'm not going to go through the 10 question MBA interview process with these. This is not what you do with professionals, right? You need to know you can click. You've already observed what they've done. And then you make sure they're a good fit culturally. So at the moment I'm recruiting via my network. here for my US, my hires that I'm doing in Europe, and I'm also looking in Asia and in the Middle East, are also coming through referrals. Both myself and our CEO are not huge fans. I'm going to get a backlash, I know, if I say this, but not a huge fan of hiring recruiting firms to do our recruiting. There's maybe for some very niche positions where we don't have the time, nor know how to kind of navigate and find that talent, but it's through our network. And then I'm plugged into things like, most recently I had a conversation with Mel about Strickland about a space workforce, right? So that's a great initiative. She's leading. I tap into my old International Space University network. I tap into SSPI. So I'm always available to respond. And I do respond to most people on LinkedIn when they try to say, hey, I'm looking for a job. And this is what I love, the ones that say, and this is what I can do for you, not where can I find the job description. So this is how I approach things.
Great. Great. Do you have any advice for people entering the field who may not fit the stereotype white male engineer that people think of often when they think of the space sector?
Yeah, just look at me. And so, no, seriously though, it's diversity is key. And not just on the engineering side, but it's all across different disciplines. And it's not about giving lip service and hiring a DEI officer at your corporation. We're not going to have one of those. I don't have the headcount to support that, but it is everybody's job at the company to ensure that we have diversity, diversity at the age level. So we're not ageist. We'll hire anybody. You just have to be part of the team. Diversity around, color, veterans. I'm a huge fan. I think my factory in the US will be mostly veteran techs because they know how to work hands-on, right? That's where they've been. So on the diversity side, I don't want to set quotas or, spout percentages in our company. I just want to look in a room I'm sitting in and see people, see women, see, people of color. And that's important. I've been in many white male rooms for say 20 plus years and globally. So I'm seeing a change. And I think it starts with the interns you hire, the middle management you promote. So I think when I myself look at recruiting, as I said, I don't have a formal intern program at the company, but I think over the summer, I'm just going to have so many of them now because I keep asking people, do you have a son or a daughter or something that wants to come hang with me? They'll get to work with me or Benoit or someone else directly. And these are the kinds of opportunities I had growing up and coming through the industry.
That's great. That's all I wanted to ask you. Is there anything else that you wanted to say?
I think, thank you, first of all, for this great opportunity. I think one of the things that we should all promote is the international cooperation. I'm so excited to see what the Space Force is doing. I sat through some sessions at the Space Symposium in Colorado, and I see the Space Force creating programs where the different They've invited the different MODs, DODs across the world, friendlies, etc., to train with them to look at what the battle of the future could be, or the protection systems that we need, and the sharing of the information. If that's happening at that level, I think the industrial cooperation is also key. There could be some things that, when we're sitting in the US, we can leverage. Take optical communications, for example. Two of the largest providers of that capability have headquarters in Germany. Now that's a key capability. That's called, and adopting that in the PWSA is amazing. That's called international industrial cooperation. I'd like to see more of that. I think if we become insular and very protectionist against, people mistake this whole Buy America slogan quite a bit, because you've got Space Force saying there are 60 critical technologies that we need, and we'll look everywhere for them. I think that's the way forward. So I'd like to see more of that happening.
Great. Thank you so much for your time and for talking to me. It's always
a pleasure. Oh, there we go. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.